Being a dad is hard. It's high stakes. It takes a toll on our self-worth, mental health, and can be lonely. But why would we ever want to do something so important in isolation? Legacy Makers, a conversation for dads, is quite simply two normal dads having conversations about, you guessed it, being a dad. The highs, the lows, and the learnings along the way. We are four dads. We want to remedy the deficiency we see in community for dads, and we want to ruthlessly encourage dads on their journey to build lasting legacy for the faces they love the most.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, buddy.
It's not the New Year yet, but it's about to be.
We're fast approaching. We're in that moment. So I saw this, I forget where I saw it, but it was like there's three kind of seasons of your life or three experiences in your life where you have no idea what day it is. Like you're just completely like rolling through. One is like on a Disney World vacation. Like You're just like completely blacked out, exhausted. The other is the first week home with a newborn.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
And then the third is that week between Christmas and New Year's.
Yeah.
You're just like...
You have not a clue.
Last night, the only reason why... We're recording on a Monday. We had a late basketball game last night. The only reason I knew it was Sunday was like we were going to go to get Chick-fil-A and it was closed. Like I had no idea what time it was, what day it was.
That's a good way to note basketball. You guys are doing well.
Yeah, both boys are playing. I'm coaching Benny, who's our fourth grader, and then Camden's on the sixth grade school team. So it's kind of sad not to coach him, but he's doing really well. We're in the middle of for some reason, a 5-day tournament. They just spread it out to get the gate fees, right? So instead of like playing all the games in 2 or 3 days, it's like one day, and every time you go, it's like $60 per family to come in. So it's been great.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, we talked about it's the week between Christmas and New Year's. I think you told me you and Brittany do a date every time. Have you guys? You haven't done that yet?
Not yet. We'll finish up basketball, which has been every night. It feels like for the last 4 days, and we'll do that sometime this week. But yeah, we try
tell us about it.
We try to get some time and during this week between Christmas and New Year's, and go out on a date. And we try to. We'll write some questions down ahead of time, but a lot of it's just candidly centered on big moments from the year and talk about some things that were just a lot of fun and kind of sticky core memories for us, things we're proud of, stuff that our kids did, but also talk about the year ahead. And like when we're sitting here 12 months from now, what do we hope to accomplish? We'll have some trips on the books, but like, what do we need to think about maybe for experiences? What do we want to do with the kids? But yeah, it's not really that serious. It's not that structured, but it's just like time that we take every year that we really look forward to.
Do you think as your kids get older, will you do anything similar with them? Like, I know you'll still have the time with Brittany, but like...
So it's so funny you said that. I actually am in the middle. We talked a few episodes ago about some of the principles that like at work that make us successful, or how do you lead teams, and I started thinking about this concept of a year-end review. Right? At work, you typically have a moment that's marked with your manager or people that work for you, and you sit down and you have a year-end review. Like, some of that is the associate telling their leader, hey, like, here's what I'm proud of, right? But a lot of it is the leader saying, look, like, almost like, here's your grade.
Yeah, here's what you've done well, here's where you can improve.
Some people do it a lot better than others. So I'm going to do year-end reviews with the kids this year. It'll be really simple, right? But just some stuff that I'm really proud about, but also try to get them to like, again, cast vision out. Like, what do you want to be when we sit here 12 months from now? Like, what are some things that you want to, and it's going to be painful. I already can tell. Like, it'll be great for me to be able to like speak some love over them about what I'm proud of, but like getting them to kind of cast vision, but that's all right. That's part of it. So I'm excited to do that.
Do you guys think you'll do any New Year's resolutions?
Well, listen, I want your take on it. I think resolutions are, I just had coffee with my dad this morning. It was so funny. He was like,
does Ira have some New Year's resolutions?
He always does. He wrote a whole thing out and there's like 38 things on it. I'm like, it's just like, Dad, like you got to focus. But also he was like, I've been trying to be 205 for like 25 years, right? Like he's like, okay, well then maybe we got to find a different path here. If you've been writing down, you want to be this certain thing or this weight for 20 plus years, right? So
we need something new. All right. I'm anti New Year's resolutions. Remember, I'm also anti vulnerability.
Yeah.
It's mainly just the term. It's not that I don't like vulnerability. It's that I like authenticity.
Yeah.
Resolutions, I like setting goals. So I think we should have them. It's just, I think when you start it as a resolution, you set yourself up for failure.
Yeah.
And one of the things I've been playing with lately is, should we have rhythms instead of resolutions? And the reason I think rhythms is, so if I set a goal, let's use Ira for an example here.
Yeah.
If I set a resolution to be this certain weight, and then I'm not that weight, every day I'm not that weight is a failure. That's a lagging indicator. If I set rhythms of, I'm going to work out 5 times a week, I'm going to increase my protein, whatever those things are, I think those are leading indicators, they're rhythms, and when you miss a day or you miss a week, you can still get back on them.
Well, I think that what you're saying, it resonates with me. I think resolutions are outcome-based, right?
Yep.
Where rhythms more, I think, based on how you're saying it, are more tied to identity, right? So like if a resolution chases the result, like whatever that result might be, to your point, okay, fine. Like I could say I want to play in the NBA, but like what's the process to get there? So if I want to lose weight, I think rhythms would be better to say like, this is who I'm becoming and this is how I get there, versus like a outcome based versus like, I need to change my identity, really. Like that's the thing. A lot of people write down resolutions that are actually like identity changing resolutions. I want to lose weight. I want to be this person. I want to be more patient. So if I write my resolution, I got to be a more patient dad. All right. Well, that's an identity shift.
Yeah. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I think the other thing that can get people into trouble about resolutions, they very much rely on willpower, whereas rhythms create structure.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and willpower for all of us, it's a finite thing because at some point you just run out of steam.
Yeah.
Like I can will myself to do about anything for a finite period of time, but you have to put a structure in place that allows yourself to be able to do these things long term.
Yeah. We've talked about this idea before of consistency versus intensity.
Yes.
Intensity works in short bursts, but I think leaving a legacy as a dad is a long game,
Totally.
which means it's going to have to be built in the consistent moments over a longer period of time.
Well, I think where I would like kind of close it, like I think just based on the earlier comment about my dad, like resolutions are oftentimes very fragile. Right? They just don't. That's like the joke for everybody. It's like, all right, we're halfway through like January and I'm done.
There will be a post on Instagram in 2 weeks that will say, how many of you have already abandoned your New Year's resolutions?
Because if you miss it, you feel like it's broken. Whereas rhythms are resilient. They are, okay, if I miss a day, I just return back to that rhythm, right? I just go back into what I know is the structure that I put in place. And so when you're talking about things as important as being a dad or being a great husband or whatever those things, I don't want anything that's fragile. I want it to build something that's resilient to allow me to get to where I'm going, right?
Okay, I've got an idea. So 2026, why don't we have 2026 rhythms that people should put into practice this year?
This is good.
Does this work? All right.
We're going to cover that.
How about we go back? Let's not even do 26. What if maybe we could try 6?
Okay.
So I came up with them with my helpful friend ChatGPT to make them sound better. But I would love to think about these 6 rhythms. And we don't have to agree on them, so feel free to push back if you don't like them. So number 1, we talked a lot last year about, I think, just the different generations from our parents to us.
Yeah.
And so one of the rhythms I put for this year is emotional availability over emotional control. And so I've been trying to control my kids' emotions in my house. I can't control my own emotions.
I know.
So I definitely can't control theirs. So here was the rhythm. I thought, instead of just teaching or fixing all the time, trying to do that, could I create a check-in once a week with them? It's kind of like you're talking about this year-end review for the kids. Could we create a time where we actually ask them to open up? You've talked a lot before about like car ride times with them or your monthly one-on-ones with the boys. What's your take on that?
Well, I think this is a really big, I mean, honestly, as I walk in here, some of the beautiful things about the holidays are traditions and time, and things kind of slow down. You know, the challenge, especially for a larger family, is everybody's in the house. And I have a challenge that I have to work through where my dad used to say, like, you're only as happy as your like saddest kid. And I am almost like, I'm dependent on there being peace in the house,
Yeah.
right? So like I can't, if something's going crazy, I've got to do a better job of regulating. Like, look, like that over there or that child situation, like is not going to dictate the whole family's thing. And that is a problem that I've got to really do a better job of. So like this one hit me when you said emotional availability versus emotional control.
Yeah.
I think where I struggle as a dad is that like the control aspect. Like, why can't you all just be in the same room? Why does this have to? It is.
Laura left for work this morning, and I got up, and my kids are fighting already before I leave the house. I'm like, can't you guys just get along? Like, why do we have to do that?
Totally. And so, but that is a sign for me when I behave that way. It's just like I'm not being mature, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm showing my kids that like everything must be in order and okay for me to be like in a good mood or for me to be happy. And that's a real
That's
dangerous
setting
spot.
them up for failure in life.
No doubt about it.
Okay.
No doubt about it. So I love this. And I do like this, like, the rhythm of, that uninterrupted time or a check-in. I think like what I don't want my kids to do is brace every time I'm like, hey, but let's go talk. Let's go have a conversation.
Where they're like, oh it's
great.
Going to be
This
in
now
trouble.
means I'm going to be in trouble or I'm not doing something as good as I need to be doing. Like last night is like Camden had a decent game, but I was like, hey, but he's like, hey, in the car ride. And I could tell he wanted he was waiting. I'm like, hey, we'll talk tomorrow about that. Like you guys got a big win. You should be so proud. Y'all were resilient. But I had to force myself to say, look, we'll talk tomorrow. Like there's nothing.
Because he was bracing for the...
Right, because he knows that
I love this. This was the challenge. Can your kids predict how you'll respond emotionally, or do they brace? So yeah, we don't want that.
I think that's a great one.
Okay, here's another challenge or goal, I guess. Visible repentance, not moral perfection. You and I have hit this multiple times, but I realize the older I get, the more I struggle with it, is apologizing to my kids when I'm wrong, apologizing specifically, and this was tough for me, apologizing without excuses. So I realize with them, I want them to apologize without excuses, but for me, I want to tell them, hey, I'm sorry, but you did this, and this, which is why I just freaking went crazy on you.
Yeah. I shouldn't have, but you did this, but I still shouldn't have. Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, so listen to this. This says, children raised by never wrong dads either end up rebelling or becoming fragile perfectionists.
Yeah.
How do you do this? And by the way, Laura will listen to this. This is bad. It's actually easier for me to apologize to my kids when Laura's not around, or apologize, but I don't want her to hear me.
It's easier to apologize to my kids, but also like when Brittany's not around, and it's hard for me to apologize to Brittany. Like I have a harder time there.
I for sure struggle with that. So yeah, I saw this. This is a counterintuitive thought, but your authority doesn't shrink when you apologize. It becomes believable. So here's a question. When's the last time your kids heard you say, I was wrong, will you forgive me?
I don't think I've ever said, will you forgive me? That's kind of a cool, because it allows them to be a part of the apology and make a decision on forgiveness and grace. I like that a lot. Listen, this is a hard one too, because it's a pride thing with the kids and with your spouse. Because again, sometimes I think at least I'll speak for myself, dads and moms, but like we're talking about dads, like we shoulder a fair amount. Right.
Yeah.
And as we've talked about, not only do we traditionally shoulder a bunch, we didn't have the best examples, around in terms of how to do things. And this is how you be a dad and this is how you do the thing. We also don't have a lot of relationships that allow us to sit. I don't think very rarely, and I would say I'm more in tune with this than most, have gone out with a buddy and said, I need to talk to you about being a dad. I'm really struggling here. We just kind of no instruction manual. So I say all that because a lot of times we have these feelings of well, I am allowed to respond in this way because you don't understand what I've been going through. You don't understand what I'm shouldering. And you're doing all these things, kid. And it's just a pride thing that we just have to work through. We have to, and it gets easier the more times you do it. The first time you do it, it's like anything else. You got to really think about your approach, and you also don't want to apologize too much, but
yeah, some things you need to toughen up on.
Right.
Okay. So emotional availability, visible repentance. Here's another goal, and Oh, this one is tough for me. I think a good goal for this year is a sustainable pace of life. So we started this conversation. You're talking about this year, and you immediately start talking about trips.
Yeah.
We had an argument in my house this week, because we started talking about all the trips we have, which is a huge blessing to be able to have.
Yeah, of course.
But a lot of the conflict that Laura and I have comes when I want to do more, and more. And she's saying, like, hey, our kids need space. They need rest. They need margin. I mean, from sports practices, from all these kind of things. First of all, how well do you think you guys do at a sustainable pace of life?
I think we're aware that we're not good at it, which is an important step.
That's good, yeah.
We had a really busy fall, and Brittany was coaching the girls' cheer. I had a bunch of travel. The boys, Camden was in 2 sports. Benny was in 1. And we just felt like it was a logistical season where it was just like all it was like, where do I need to be at what time? Who's picking up? Who's dropping off? And then like repeat that.
Yeah.
And I think fall was a big wake up call for us. And that'll be one of the things we talk about is how do you balance the desire to be doing things that are productive for the kids, like sports or other activities to help well round them out. With exactly what you said.
Do you guys have like a Sabbath or a...
We don't. No, we don't. And it's hard because, honestly, it's like the way the systems are set up now with youth sports and activities.
There's no break.
There used to be like Sunday there was nothing.
Yeah.
And then, I remember growing up playing travel ball. Very rarely were there Sunday things. And if there were Sunday things, they started at like 1.
Yeah. You go to church first.
Yeah. And so that's a problem. And so the balance is like, how do you, as a family, like with that, do you just say, you throw your hands up in the air and say, well, this just is what it is? Or is there a way to exist in that ecosystem without sacrificing everything? Yeah. Right. And that might be, hey, Wednesday nights in the fall is actually no one has activities. So Wednesday nights are protected. That means I got to protect my travel. I got to cut it off early at work, and Wednesday becomes the day that evening where you just have to figure it out with each family, and every season's going to be different. But
and I don't think we're going to get it right all the time, but I think there has to be some guardrails.
Yeah,
that sometimes we're going to push up against. But I saw this. It says kids learn what adulthood feels like by watching your nervous system, and I feel like if that's what my kids are watching, we're in trouble. Because some of the other things I feel really good, but I live at a pace that is a constantly elevated heart rate trying to get all these things done. Laura will remind me at times, like, we don't want our kids to always be hearing the word like, hurry, let's go, let's go. I feel like every time we're trying to get into the car to leave, it's a rush.
Yeah, and the thing I would challenge us on is when you do have that time where it is a downtime or there's a day that might be some sort of Sabbath for you and the family, oftentimes when you're running at that pace, you can't shut it down.
No.
So then you find things to do.
Oh, that's it. Yeah. We're going to
now I've got this thing and I'm going to list of 15 things to do around the house. And I've had like 5 hours of really nothing, but I've filled it with like...
Which to me also makes me feel more productive.
Correct.
So I like that, but what is it modeling for our kids? So
Correct.
I think that's a good reminder on a pace of life. Number 4, I thought this was good for me, like intentional words, not constant commentary. I like this thing. It talks about these affirmations, which I think you're really good at. You're good at affirming your kids from my perspective. But I saw this, kids remember sentences, not speeches.
Totally. Yeah.
Man, I can tell, like, I feel like there are times I get on a roll and, I'm in some good stuff. And I'm like, George, I hope you're taking notes. I hope you're listening. And his eyes are glazed over in the back.
Yep.
Because I think that he's going to listen to my 5-minute pep talk.
They don't. And it's I've gotten much better at this. I still, get rolling to your point and get on a soapbox. But what I've found, the more productive conversations are actually where it is much shorter and then just be quiet. And then all of a sudden they'll ask questions. The other check-in on this one, this constant commentary thing, like Brittany and I talk oftentimes, we feel like we're constantly correcting. And I think you have to do that when they're younger because you're really trying to like teach them how to behave and how to social settings and all that. But it's a very fine line from that constant correcting piece, because it can feel like nagging. It can feel like, okay, I don't even want to be around mom and dad. So you have to be careful.
Even if it's encouraging. I think this is the thing, is sometimes it's affirming or encouraging. One of the challenges here, how would your child finish this sentence? My dad believes I am ...
Yeah. And that's a challenge for all. Well, we should probably, go and have our kids write that out.
Yeah.
And you can't do it live, because they'll say, "Oh, you believe I'm this." It's like, and maybe mom helps. Say, "Hey, write this out." And let them write down some of the words that come out of their mouths, and it could be a really tough response depending on what they come back. But you'd rather know, so you can course correct.
Laura didn't even hear me. No, I heard her say this. That was really good. George had a basketball game a couple weeks ago. He has not done that well, and then just turned it on, scored 10 points, and
nice.
All this kind of stuff. And you could tell he was looking for affirmation about how well he had done. And I overheard Laura telling him, I'm so proud of you that you scored that many points. But I just want you to know, as proud as I am of you, nothing that you do would make me love you any more or make me love you any less. That does not mean I'm not proud. I'm very proud of you. I want to encourage you to keep doing more of that, but my love is not contingent. I don't know, she probably didn't use contingent. She probably used a word he'd understand, but on how well you play. And so I think those intentional words are important. The fifth one here is spiritual leadership without performance. This is about kids are less shaped by what you say than what you believe, how you model that. I realize a lot of the things we do when we're going to church and doing these things are important, but it's also important the way we talk to them or do things outside of being in front of people.
Correct. Yeah, I think, one of our mutual friends, Mike Lynch, talked about, he's a pastor here locally, and one of his biggest fears as he thought about being a dad is okay, my kids seeing me on Sundays at the church, but then that didn't match up with the person he was at home. And that's a really, that if those two things don't match, it's a dangerous spot. I think the kids want and need to see you. The consistency is so important. Yeah. I think that's a big thing. It's the consistency of how you're showing up as a husband, how you're showing up as their dad, as their friend, is really, really important, especially if it's around things that you tell them are important. Last night we had a challenge with one at the game we were at. It was one of these unfortunate youth sports moments, right, where the parents got a little bit too feisty. We'll just say that. After the game, we were walking out, and one of the people that probably was the head of the issue, we were walking out, and I know him, and kind of shook his hand and told him his son played really well. And Cam in the car was like, "Why did you do that?" He was It's buddy, what are we called to do? You didn't do anything to me. We have to show, but I think it's not just behaving, but marking the moment when stuff like that happens is really important.
I think that's a good way to model that faith side of it. I thought this challenge was good. Do your kids see faith as a refuge or as a standard they can't meet? And so I think part of that is do they feel like we're just measuring up to this, or it's more of a call to love people and care for people. So I love you guys talking about being mat carriers. So last one, long-term thinking over immediate compliance, which I think this is really about asking kids not just what is this teaching them, not just what do I want them to do right now. A lot of times it's I want him right now. We had a lot of issues over Christmas with our kids getting all this stuff, and then Laura and I struggling with them feeling like they're not grateful. And it's but do I want them to be grateful for this one thing in this moment, or do I want them to adopt this gratitude long term? And based on what I want, the way that we correct them should be different.
Yeah, I think the goal is really not to have a child or a family that looks like the perfect family that behaves and is great right now.
Yeah.
It is, that's nice. But ultimately, to your point, this is a long-term play here where you want to get at the end of, your most influential kind of time with your kids' lives is, while they are under your roof. And you got to be parenting for the long game, right?
Yeah.
You have to be parenting for the long game. And part of that is it should also change your approach on how you're doing things, how you're communicating. And I think too often where it's always like right now, it's like performative parenting to make sure that the kids are behaving in the moment to make your life easier versus like, okay, how do we make sure we don't get frustrated because things aren't going great now? Like, but how do we make sure we're building a bridge so when they're 18, like these lessons are so stick and they're part of them.
This is a gut punch. Immediate obedience can also coexist with long-term resentment. What we're saying is you can force them to do the right things.
Absolutely.
And then them long-term be frustrated. And I love this question. Am I raising a child who behaves or a future adult who can lead themselves? And I think the answer I want is both. I don't want to say like, we're just really going for long-term here and my kid is a terror. Like ideally.
But think about tactics though as a parent to get immediate behavior. Many of them are not going to be a long-term win for that child.
Yeah.
Like immediate behavior, like on them all the time, speaking negative kind of things over them. Oh, you always do this. You need to show me this, and guilt. Like there's a lot of things that actually are pretty good tactics to get behavior in the moment.
But it doesn't work long term.
Man, long term, it's a scary proposition.
Okay. Here's the challenge. Because this is the truth. I'll never do 6 of these.
No.
But I think maybe a challenge for each of you. Let's do this and maybe challenge people that are listening. What is one of these rhythms that we're going to tell our kids about? Because here's the truth. Newsflash for anybody listening. Your kids 10 years from now will never remember your New Year's resolution for this year. They will never remember it. But if you have one rhythm that you talk about putting in place this year, they will remember that presence, that tone, that pace that we set. So which one are you going to work on the most?
The biggest one for me, that's why I kind of paused when you said it, is that first one, that emotional availability over the emotional control piece, right? And it's no different than what I tell my kids or I tell the teams that I lead. Like, you have to focus on what is truly in your controllable set. I can't control if my kids woke up on the wrong side of the bed or they've had lack of sleep or too much sugar in their whatever it might be. I mean, I can probably not feed them as much sugar, but I have to focus on what I can control as a person, as their dad. And if not, that's when you do these things that you have to apologize for. I don't want my kids to be like, man, my dad was all these things, but like, oh gosh, short-tempered or flew off the handle, or he was always mad if one of us was not being like, I don't want that. And that one really speaks to me. What about you?
Just because I think it's what we're in this phase right now is this long-term thinking over immediate compliance. Like I do want their behavior to be right. I'm thankful that they are better with other people than they are with us.
Yeah.
But we've just had a lot of frustration over the behavior side of things lately. But what I most want is them to understand the deeper issues of that. And so that's what I'm focused on. It's, for me and for them, who are we becoming? So, well, I think everybody should be thinking about what rhythms you're going to put in place this year. Now is as good a time as any to start. And I think especially as you have older kids, I'm thinking about George right now, definitely your 2 oldest. It's good to involve them, to tell them what you're doing and think about it as you get ready for 2026.
Yeah, and the other piece that I would just close with is I know it's a good time of year. It's always like, you feel like you're starting over, so it makes total sense. But again, put rhythms in place, put in structure to get some of these things done versus I'm going to do X. Like, I would say figure out one thing that you want to be better at, but then put some structure in place, whether it's quiet time, whether it's, you're grading yourself, bring your spouse in and say, look, this is what I want to do. Like, you have the ability to tell me at the end of the day, am I doing a good job because I'm really trying? But like, you got to figure out how you're going to be able to measure some of this stuff, or it just becomes a nice thought.
Yeah, that's a good point at the end. Like, how are you seeing progress? Otherwise, if you don't have a clear measurement, you're never going to see progress. So that's good stuff. Hey, 2026, let's make it a great year.
Absolutely.
I think, this is another opportunity to set rhythms with our kids that they're going to remember long after they're out of our house. So,
death to resolutions. We're all
death to resolutions, all rhythms. 2026. Let's go.
Thanks for listening to Legacy Makers with Kevin Scott and Eric Blumenthal. Make sure you download and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
This podcast is a production of BG Ad Group. All rights reserved.